It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ferenc Toth. In an era of chaos, confusion, and craziness, Ferenc is a voice for common sense. As a financial literacy educator, speaker, and entrepreneur, Ferenc cuts through the noise to help us understand how current events affect our money, economy, and our freedom. Now, here's Ferenc Toth.
Welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show. This is Ferenc, and I have a very special guest today. In fact, we're going to cover an interesting topic. Anyone who's listened to the show knows I discuss immigration quite often and a lot about illegal immigration too, and how it affects our economy and how it's affecting our country. And what I want to do today is I've gotten the opportunity to meet a very interesting person, Avery. We're going to share a personal story about someone who's trying to become a citizen of the United States, doing it the right way. And she's running into some challenges. So we're going to let her share her story. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we always hear about immigration, but I want to make it personal today. First of all, Avery, welcome to the Your Personal Bank Show.
Thank you for having me, Frank.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. So like I said, many listeners of the show know I'm first generation. My dad escaped from the Soviets. In 1956, I was born here. He wanted a better opportunity, come to the land of opportunity for himself and his legacy. I'm that legacy. That's why this is so near and dear to my heart. Avery, share us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in China, the northeast side of China, a small town, but a lot of people. I had a really nice, calm childhood. Everybody just to stay in the town for most of the part. They really don't go elsewhere. I don't know, out from somewhere. I just starting to plan, especially in college. While other people are, a lot of them just focus on their own subjects and or their majors, and English is not even a focus anymore. But I just really wanted to acquire the language to really articulate well and express myself. So when I came here, I just right in without speaking broken English. I really did a lot of self-study, and I learned a lot about the culture through all the mediums I used learning English. For instance, I watched the Friends for over 30 times. I literally can remember every lines of it.
So you had an interest in American culture from a young age, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. There are some limited resources through TV or books. I read a lot of literatures from the US. Just found it's really fascinating.
Anything that sparked that you can attribute to, or just came to you naturally? Why you had that interest in learning about this culture?
I mean, I can't really pinpoint a particular event, just made me determine this is it. I think it's really just a influence, a subtle influence here and there, and it come to a point I made that decision. Okay. Small things like I always have that curiosity, or just read books or some of the movies, especially movies. I just found a lot of American movies are very creative in a grander scheme. It shows it's definitely through the screen. It shows a lot of whether the landscape, especially the older movies, because they do a lot of road driving scene to share what it looks like. I was in awe of all those amazing natures across the U.S. and also just the people, the diversity and everything. Neat. And plus, even in school, we all heard all those noble talent. That's the hub, right? The whole melting pot or the salad bowl. Just everybody come here for more opportunities and freedom. I think it's actually, there is one documentary I watched. There was a 5 episode. It's called The Story of Us.
Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yes, watching that documentary about how this country is built and do spirit and everything. I think that would be, if I have to find one event, that's the one.
Okay. And then obviously you had an opportunity to come to the United States to go to college, correct? So how did that come about? And then what did you study?
Yes. So actually I did my undergrad in China. So I studied biology. At that time, I was definitely determined to come here for my advanced degree. It's just a choice between, do I pursue a PhD to be a biologist or more applying science, like a master degree. It just happened to be I was really into fitness and wellness. And I also find myself not necessarily the type of person in the lab all day long dealing with the petri dishes or animals. So I find nutrition and kinesiology is a great way to get into that industry, that
Hmm.
world.
Right.
Yeah. Even I was most of the times I was, the school focus on your academia, but I was always into sports since
Mm.
growing up. So that's my first degree. I came here. I did a master degrees in nutrition and kinesiology in
Okay.
Baylor State.
Okay. Now you had shared with me a story that I was fascinated with when you were, I guess, fairly new to the country. You wanted to go to Austin, took a bike trip there. Tell us a little about that and what you learned from that.
Oh yeah, that was such a great memory. 2014, that was the year I came over. 2 months in, I heard of those bicycle clubs. They riding all those long distance, over 100 miles and here and there. As I grew up riding bikes, but mainly as a public transportation
Hmm.
tool. I never get trained, and at that time, I don't really have a car. I just have a bike, a
Right.
regular bike, not that fancy, and I don't even have a smartphone. I asked around a couple of clubs, say, "Oh, can I join you?" Because I always want to visit Austin, because that's the capital of Texas.
Right.
From Waco, that's over a little bit over 100 miles. They was like, "Oh, you aren't that trained. Your pace, we're really fast."
Uh-huh.
So I thought, okay, let me just do it on my own. So I went back and looked up the map, since you can't really, it's not allowed to just write down the I-35. So
Right.
I got to map it out with a different route and some country road here and there. I drawed it on a piece of paper, then packed some water and some, snacks, just hit the road. I still vividly remember that was a Friday. I didn't have class that day. I just started at 4 a.m. in October. It's really, I didn't even think too much. I didn't think about, oh, what if I got kidnapped or hit by a car, that sort of stuff. I just thought, I'm just gonna keep going. Worst case, I'm just gonna return back. Not a big deal. That was really the first time I was able to exponentially see the countryside, the beauty of the landscape in the United States, not just on the screen, actually in it.
Hmm.
Um, and throughout the trip, I run into some incredible people, just so kind. I mean, I got lost a couple of times. I have to ask around, and I ran out of water. People are just so generous, just to share what yeah, give me the advices or the help I needed. To a point, it's funny. At some point, I just keep going. I didn't. Somebody told me, "Oh, you still have about 40 miles to go." At that point, I already biked for about 8 hours. I just
Uh-huh.
don't want to go back anymore. Yeah, I don't want to go return. I just want to keep going. So, long story short,
By the
after
way, I don't mean to interrupt you, Avery, but that's kind
yes,
of seems like a theme of your life. You don't want to return, you want to keep going forward. I like
that's
that.
I think that is something in my nature to see the end.
Yes.
Even when I, hiking into the mountain, I just keep going up one step at a time. At that time, it's really just a one pedal a time. But yes. So after 15 hours, I finally arrived to downtown Austin.
Uh-huh.
Austin, yeah, I was I so when I got into the downtown Austin, I went to get some food in the Whole Food store. Then when I came out, my bicycle was stolen. Yeah,
That would discourage most people.
because yeah, I didn't even plan to stay anywhere, because I also at that time, when it's at the beginning, I still kind of think, wow, everything is so expensive because the US dollars versus the yuan.
Right.
It's just seems everything expensive. I didn't even plan to go to a hotel. That's just so I end up just walk around to find a restaurant that is open 24/7. So I just sit there and I order some food and start chatting with strangers just across the bar. Had some fun conversations and they don't really allow me to sleep either because I don't know for some reason you can stay there, but just you
Right.
can't fall asleep. But the
Right.
next day, I woke up. I just started to explore Austin on my feet, just walk around. I even accidentally ran into the Franklin's barbecue. You know
Oh
that
my.
famous.
I've heard
Have
of
you
it. Yes.
tried it? Oh, I haven't.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll run into that too late, and I heard people they camp like 5 in the morning, just waiting in line for that.
That's
Anyhow,
crazy.
yeah, I gotta really be able to experience Austin. Met some incredible people, just such a vibrant city. And
Hmm.
somehow I found the Greyhound bus
Hmm.
in the afternoon without a GPS or anything. Then just took the bus, came back. It was pretty crazy. So, but it was just such a great memory. Yeah.
And you think about it, single female, new to the country, everything's new, and you just struck out and exploring. That's pretty awesome. And it sounds like you had a pretty great experience, other than getting your bike stolen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that didn't happen, I probably the I won't be able to. I don't know. It's just gonna be different. It's kind of like that movie talk about that a Christmas movie. It's a Wonderful Life. If this thing didn't happen, probably it won't. The other thing won't happen. So it
Right.
is just
We're going to have Avery with us for the rest of the show. Folks, I'm going to really encourage you. We just got to get introduced a little bit about her and her background, but she's somebody who we want. You're the type of person we want in this country. We are a melting pot. We are a land of immigrants, but we want to have the best and the brightest. We want good people who love our country, the opportunities that it provides, who want to be a part of that. And so Avery's going to she's got a situation where she may have to go back soon. We're going to share that in this next segment. I'm going to really encourage you to stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more common sense from Ference. For more information, contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth. Want more information? Contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. Now back to the show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. This is Ference, and I have a special guest with me, Avery She's if you missed the first segment, I'm just going to encourage you to go to yourpersonalbank.com. You can listen to this or any of the previously recorded shows. But again, I'm doing something a little different here because I do discuss immigration and the economic impacts of that, illegal immigration in particular versus legal immigration. And I wanted to bring the story to something more personal. I got the opportunity to meet Avery recently from China. She shared in her story earlier. Kind of always loved this country, had the opportunity to come here and get your master's degree, I guess, or advanced degree here. So first of all, Avery, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Frank.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. So you got your degree, advanced degree, I guess, in Texas. Then you graduated. What happened there?
Yes, so I did got my first master's nutrition kinesiology. I wasn't immediately went to the industry. So at that point, I realized, a lot of stuff why people do things, there's a reason behind it. So the behavior, there's a psychology associated with it. So when I was doing the nutrition kinesiology, I studied a lot of psychology, human behavior. I was discussing with my mentor at that time. She's focused on some gut microbiome stuff. Consider a psychology PhD, but she's the one to kind of share with me as in to encourage me to kind of take a pause from the science standpoint, to gain some experience, then reconsider, etc. But at that time, the Baylor Business School Management Information System Masters, because
Mhm.
my background and my academic history, they offered me pretty much almost 100% scholarship. So
Mm.
I get to learn, that's a very new field, but I get a chance to learn a lot of business classes like accounting, finance, but also technology, information system, programming, database design, etc. I thoroughly enjoy that degree. That's the thing that's interesting me is like you never know what would you enjoy until you try it, right? Because I've been
Right.
doing a lot of science since I was younger. And then basically that was the degree I was leveraging the most for my professional career as a solution
Mhm.
architect. So after graduated 2017, so beginning of 2018, I started my official professional career working for a risk management technology company as a consultant. So my role is really wear multiple hats to cross-functionally with the internal, external stakeholders to identify business needs and translate it into technical deliverables and take the clients to implement solutions to better their business operation.
And so my understanding is obviously getting this job, you're under the work visa program, and ultimately your goal is to obtain citizenship after a certain amount of time. And that's in my understanding too. I know our immigration system is broken. I've
Mm.
heard this all the time. You know, just letting people come across the border, we don't even know their name. That's just beyond ridiculous. Where we have the opportunity, like folks like yourself, who we could have the pick of the litter, so to speak, the best and the brightest from around the world. Because as much challenges our country has, we're still a place that people want to come to. Obviously, I mean they're coming here for
Yes.
opportunity, like you said. And so you were sharing with me as we were speaking earlier that in essence the company does ultimately responsible or has all the control in terms of starting the process for citizenship. Correct? You have no control.
Yeah, that is right.
Yeah. So my understanding is you went to work for this company, and we won't name them to shame anybody, but this I've heard this is pretty common out there. They said, "Well, we'll get that started. We'll get that going. There was no rush on their part, right?"
Yeah, that's right. It's really a mutual trust to extend a lot of
Hmm.
times because there's no hard rule says you must wait until a certain amount of year to start the process. But it's up to the company to decide when to start it.
I
So I
see.
definitely, since 2014, this is 9 years to this year being
Wow.
here. It's a long process, and there's a lot of inconvenience to me just even visit a family or travel elsewhere with this type of visa. It would be great to start as early as possible, but that wasn't the case. But I was grateful that they finally started. It is quite late, very recent.
So you worked for this company, sounds like up to almost 9 years, like you said.
Well, almost 6 years because
Six
the
years,
first
right?
3 years I was in grad school. Yes,
Right. So then they finally started the citizenship process, and then you got laid off, is my understanding, right?
yes.
Yes.
Last month.
And then how the work visa program works, again, I don't know all the details, but you have a certain amount of time that you have to obtain another job or you end up having to go back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your deadline at this point for finding another job offer, I guess?
So, the immigration, like you mentioned, Frank, it's very complex.
Right.
They got a different base, right? Employment base, family base, refugee, etc. My path was the employment. I was here first on F1 student visa, find the job to transition to H1 work visa. And the hope is through the employer to eventually achieve my American dreams. So essentially, the government gives the immigration government the service to give 60 days called a grace period from the last day of your work to find another sponsor, another company to transition into. So that would have took me to mid-October at this point. Yeah, it is a very tight time frame.
Yes.
Just searching for job, the process of interview at certain standpoint. Yes,
So to me, it sounds ridiculous again, too, because here's a situation where, in essence, you have to put all your faith in this company that they're going to start the process towards citizenship at some point. They have all the cards, they have all the control. Then at some point they lay you off or whatever, let you go. You've got 60 days to find another sponsor, like you said, another company, and the whole process starts over again. Am I correct?
yes, it is. Yeah, that's the other little bit of a challenge is
Hmm.
the green card need to be started all over again.
Right. So why to me it's so ridiculous is the companies have all the control. I mean, you're in a situation where it's almost like indentured servitude, almost at a true disadvantage, obviously, due to lack of citizenship, and they have all the control, and so it allows them to keep their costs down, their labor costs down, because let's face it, folks coming from other countries, you're typically going to work for less, usually. That's the reality. I don't see where there's any fairness in this system at all. Where I think you jokingly said, yeah, you could go get married or something, find somebody to marry you or something, or I said, yeah, go hop the fence, and you could be here illegally at least. Yet you're trying to go through the process the right way, and it's taken you, well, from the work side, 6 years, and you're not anywhere closer, like you said, to your American dream than when you started, really, sadly.
Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. I mean, I wish I would have just know that, I mean, I was advised of the other things jokingly or not jokingly. It just, I really do not want to go that route, especially out of a
Right.
status to spot. I want to do the right thing,
Hmm.
create a life here as
Right.
a not I even earlier this year I was looking to get a condo so that to have my parents come over visit so that they can see the life I have here as
Right.
they're still in China, retired. the it's very difficult,
Right.
and also they sometimes doesn't really don't really understand me why want to be here because the things they portrayed maybe in the media is skewered. Come here to look actually experience it. I don't, from employment that standpoint, it is definitely. We even a friend of mine and I was researching. There's no additional protection with the H1 workers. I mean, it's not like a contract signed. Oh, we're gonna see this through. So it's really at will. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly the stuff behind the scene. Maybe there's a reason,
It
but
seems to me the reason is pretty obvious, Avery. It's the companies want cheaper labor, highly educated, cheaper labor, and they want to maintain control as long as they can. To me, it seems pretty obvious. It's sad, but true, is what I believe. To me, why it's so frustrating, and it's got to be, and it's frustrating me, and I'm looking at it from the outside. It doesn't affect me directly. It's affecting you personally. Is you're trying to do this? It's a 6 year process, trying to do it the right way, and you've got literally millions of people coming from the southern border, and they're unaccounted for, and they're here, and that's got to be immensely frustrating. It is to me.
is frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm being calm most of the
Right.
time, right? But
Understood.
there's a part of me just to feel, yeah, this deep frustration about it, this long over almost a decade, and
Yeah.
barely even see the light. And now in a situation that I have to give up all the relationship in a way that the last decade of my life, how I met here and the life I
Right.
built quickly exit. It's a
So
little bit
we're
frustrating.
I'll have to cut you off because we're coming up on a hard break here, but I'm going to encourage you to stay tuned with because we're going to discuss this further with Avery. But I think, folks, you can see what we're talking about is here's somebody getting punished for trying to do it the right way, and people who are not doing it the right way are getting rewarded, and that's just plain unfair, plain and simple. Again, as I stated at the beginning of the show, Avery, and to everyone who's listening, and most people here in the U.S. are not against immigration. What we're against is illegal, unaccounted for immigration. People just coming willy-nilly. We don't know who they are. We love and want to support people who are coming here doing it the right way, want to be a contributing part of society, make this country a even better place than it is now. So, encourage you to stay tuned in the next segment. Don't miss it. We're going to share more of Avery's story.
Stay tuned for more common sense from Ference. For more information, contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth. Want more information? Contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. Now back to the show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. This is Ference, and like I said earlier, we have a very special guest today, and we're doing something very unique, shining a spotlight on a personal story of somebody who is trying to become a U.S. citizen and trying to do things the right way. And unfortunately, so far, because Avery, she's been doing things the right way, in essence, almost being punished for doing the right thing, doing things the right way, rather than these other people are coming and doing it the wrong way and getting rewarded for that. So Avery, again, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Frank, for having me. It's such an honor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, like I said, I just find this, and I shared this in the last segment. And folks, if you missed it, go to yourpersonalbank.com. You can listen to this or any of the previously recorded shows, of course, anytime you want. And like I said to you, Avery, last segment, this doesn't even affect me personally. It certainly affects you, but I find it incredibly frustrating that here you've been in the States now for 9 years. I think you told me you've only been home once for like a 2-week trip to visit
That's
family.
right.
That's it. Probably partially because it's so difficult, like you said, with a work visa to travel out of the country. But you're trying to obtain citizenship. That's been your goal. You've run into some roadblocks in that, needing a new sponsor, a new job. So otherwise, you're going to be mid-October, probably forced to head back to China, which you clearly don't want to do. First thing I want to ask you is, why do you want to stay in the United States? You've been here 9 years. You've built a life already. You're fairly young. But majority of your adult life, you've been here since college, right? Why do you want to stay in the United States?
When I first came here, 2014, when I landed after almost 24 hours of plane from here to there, to eventually in Waco, Texas for Baylor, my grad school, I feel right at home. I mean, people were asking me, do you have any, adjustment or culture shock or whatever? I just feel at ease. Well, that's something I didn't even feel when I was over there in my home country, China. So that might be something, my soul, that calling, because I apparently the plant a seed, and I'd really take a lot of actions to make it happen. And then the second this is, it's for cliche for a reason, the land of opportunity, the American dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened now, but this is still the country, nothing like this. As I start living here, I mean, for one, just everywhere I go, I traveled quite a bit. I loved road trips and to visit different places, just the beautiful nature and amazing landscapes, and everywhere I go, there's incredible people, because the diversity and people's different background, it just so creative. So that's another reason I find just this connection, just drawing to be here in the US. Also, I know I'm fairly young, but my adulthood, right? It says 22. It's really here. In a way, I actually grew up here. Emotionally, spiritually. My journey with the God. It's a different story. It's just the road of.
Well, and the thing you were sharing earlier about the land of wanting to come here, the land of opportunity and stuff, I find it ironic because there's so many people in our country today who are privileged, I call it, and they denigrate this country, and they say how it's bad and evil and everything else you can think of, and they have no idea how blessed they really are. And I always say to them, if you would just take a few minutes, and talk to an immigrant, particularly anyone who came from a country where maybe their government and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but was overzealous. We'll put it that way.
Ah, that's such a new word. I'm gonna
Over
borrow from
controlling,
you.
controlling, right? My dad, I shared in the beginning, my dad escaped from communism. I mean, from the Soviets. Certainly, there's not the freedoms in China that there are here in the United States. If you
That
don't realize how blessed you are, talk to somebody who experienced something different.
absolutely. Just as a few examples, for instance, the
Hmm.
resource. Here you get to change your major in. If you need something, certain support, there's a lot of resources. Just feel
Hmm.
like the channel is open. As long as you have a desire, you want to achieve something, the people, the resources just it's here available, readily
Right.
available. You want it, there it is, unless you just don't. While compare, when I back home, it's a little bit scarcity. For one thing, it's just a lot of people, the ratio of the resource.
Sure.
That was the one thing. It's really in all of me, just whatever you desire, put it into the work in this country, you can make it happen. I
Right.
love to sometimes watch a certain story about other immigrant, right? They I'm the first generation to away.
Right.
But ones then in the past, they really work hard to build a really beautiful, amazing opportunity futures for their offsprings. Like it's my responsibility in a way to be that person in my family, so that I could having my relatives, my family come here to
Right.
experience something they will never dreamed of. Because I am really grateful that my parents did everything they could, saved
Hmm.
up to support me to come
Right.
here.
Sure.
Yes.
Let's change gears a little bit. So, of course, you're needing a sponsor, a company to sponsor you, obviously. What type of field or industry or whatever, if somebody knows, we're going to put out a call to action here. We're going to ask for some help for Avery. So, if somebody knows somebody in what type of business, field, industry, what would be a good fit for you if somebody was interested?
Well, thank you, thank you. Because my background, at least the last almost 6 years professionally, is a solution architect in the tech industry. It happened to be I was in the risk management industry, so I know a lot about regulatory compliance, insurance, finance, etc. But the information system is really broad. It can
Hmm.
apply to pretty much all industry, retail or healthcare, etc. I always like to use an analogy of because I had a biology undergrad. It's kind
Hmm.
of the principles and the techniques I've learned, the knowledge how to implementing solutions, how to analyzing a business need. It's kind of you can use that on a rat or a rabbit. I really like
Okay.
to learn. So I can learn quickly about that particular industry, learn
Hmm.
their specific languages, operations, especially my clients in the past, they're all across the board from
Hmm.
different industries. They need the risk management software. So
Hmm.
I would say from the role standpoint, something like solution consultant, solution architect, to know how to learn the client's business, understand their need, identify the gap, and then leverage a software product to implementing that, whether it's best industry practice or customized solutions to help their business. And throughout the process, I also know a lot of product knowledge, and I
Hmm.
work, like I earlier mentioned, about a cross functionally, because I really am the liaison with the customer support, engineer teams, product teams, etc.
Okay. Well, Avery,
Something.
let me ask you this: if somebody knew of somebody or had a company or might have an interest in interviewing you, how would they contact you?
Well, I mean, I can share the phone number and the email. Yes, my cell is 254-299-7321.
And your email?
It's Avery Chi10 at gmail.com. So I spell it out is AVERYCHI10 at gmail.com.
And your phone number one more time.
So it's 254-299-7321. 7321.
And I understand you're willing to relocate, obviously, if necessary, for the right.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. So, folks, if you know of anybody anywhere in the country who would be Avery might be a good fit for them, we want to have a good quality, highly educated, motivated individual work for their organization. Reach out to them or contact Avery. Or if you miss that, just contact us at yourpersonalbank.com. We'll get you connected, or toll free 866-268-4422. Again, yourpersonalbank.com, 866-268-4422. We're going to wrap up pretty soon here in the last segment. We've got a couple of minutes here and then this last segment. But I just want to say, first of all, Avery, I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know it's not easy. There's a lot of thought put into this. Her and I have been discussing this for some time, and I just thought it would be a really unique thing for a lot of people to hear. It's a side of things in the immigration story, the overall big immigration story, that most of us, including myself, just don't normally hear or familiar with. To kind of see this firsthand, how this is affecting an individual like yourself, I think this is educational and illuminating, and it also needs to be a call to action. There needs to be change in our system. Obviously, the illegal immigration story, that needs to stop, cold, period. I've said this so many times. It's absolutely infuriating, beyond ridiculous. Are we allowing people into this country that we don't even know who they are? We don't know their background. Heck, we don't even know their name. We don't know what their intentions are. They could be good, bad, indifferent. We have no idea. And just to even allow that to occur is beyond frustrating. And it should not be accepted by anyone. And the fact that anyone supports that, I'm sorry, you and I have a problem with each other. And we need to change that. And we need to change that with our representatives, because we get the wrong people in charge in this country. Anyone who's allowing that needs to be changed flat out. We need to make some changes to our legal immigration process. Companies shouldn't have all the control. If somebody genuinely, truly wants to come here and wants to be a part of our country, we are the melting pot of the world. We are a land of immigrants. We could have the best and the brightest. There should be a process that allows us to pick and choose who comes to this country and then could be a contributing part of the society. I believe Avery is one of those and is deserving of that. So if you can help her, please reach out. Again, yourpersonalbank.com or 866-268-4422. Stay tuned in the last segment. We'll finish this up with Avery, so don't miss it.
Stay tuned for more common sense from Ference. For more information, contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show with Ference Toth. Want more information? Contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. Now back to the show with Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show. This is Ference, and we've been doing something very special today. We've been really shining a spotlight on the personal story of someone who's trying to become a citizen of the United States. He's gone through this process now 9 years and is still not any closer to our ultimate goal. And we've shared that in this story today, of course. Avery, thank you for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me, Frank.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Avery's been sharing kind of her story. Came from China 9 years ago. I got your master's degree in Texas. Got to work for a company in the IT field, basically risk management area. There was some promises made about getting or expectations, at least, of obtaining your citizenship through work visa program. Unfortunately, the companies have total control over that process and delayed that process. There's really, like you said, no time frame. So what a lot of folks, people here who've never dealt with that, including myself, are not aware of. People that come through the H-1 work visa program really have little or no control in terms of obtaining that citizenship or starting that citizenship process. Of course, you worked with the company about 6 years. They finally started the process, then went through layoffs. So you're back to square one. If something doesn't change, you have like 60 days. Mid-October, you could be forced back to go to China, and you've lived basically your entire adult life in the United States. I'd say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Avery, you feel more American than you do Chinese, culturally speaking. Is that fair?
That's so fair. That's very spot on.
Very accurate. So we've put this out here the previous part of the show, but I'll do it again. We'll do it again before we end. But if you do know of somebody that might you think could have a position that might be a good fit for Avery, please reach out to us. Yourpersonalbank.com or 866-268-4422. I believe just from our conversations, Avery, you and I have had, you're the type of person we want in this country. Someone who wants to contribute, loves America, loves the opportunity. You want to make something of it. So my question we were sharing at the break was, if you do get the sponsorship and you're allowed to stay and you do obtain the citizenship, again, you want to do it the right way. That's admirable of you, by the way, as frustrating as that could be. You're not just going to not looking for a sugar daddy to marry you just so you can get citizenship, for example. You're trying to do things the right way, and that's admirable. I've got to commend you on that. But let's say you do get the citizenship. I know it's not just a means to an end. I know it's a goal of yours, but what do you want to accomplish? What do you see in your future going forward?
Throughout especially my adulthood, I did a lot of personal development. Just I always love to learn and grow and stuff. Just come to either through experience or just through reading to be able to serve. That might sound very abstract. It's just I found the beauty of the journey is also the process and connect with the authentic people and live authentic life. I would not just for me anymore, because right now I'm kind of a little bit of focus on solving my problem, with the situation. But the ultimately this country built on entrepreneur and just provide opportunity to other people. I find it just to be more place that for instance, just has a bigger stage so that heard and the I could
I think,
influence more
yeah,
people positively,
sure.
whether through entrepreneur provide opportunity for other people, or my experience is an asset that I can help the people to come.
You could guide them, yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, exactly, a lot of, entrepreneurship gets denigrated these days a lot by a lot of certain portion of the country. I'll put it that way. And the reality is, if you look at anyone who's successful, whether it's an entrepreneur or not, anyone who's successful, really, all they've done is they found a way to serve people more. And the better they serve people and provide a need that people have, the more successful they become. It's that simple. I shouldn't say it's easy, but it is that simple.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it is simple, but it's definitely not easy.
Not easy, exactly. And I love that part. I want to bring you back around to this because I just think this is so powerful. I love that part where you were sharing earlier about why do you want to become part of this country? And you mentioned the land of opportunity and things like that. What advice would you give to somebody who maybe has not seen your experience of living somewhere else and coming here and don't realize how blessed they are? What would you say to somebody like that?
I found it helpful is practice gratitude, right? Just it's like things. Think about it when you have your health, you're focused on the stuff going around. Well, if you got sick, all you want is just your health. So
Right.
from my standpoint, to we count the blessings, not to focus on the other thing. They help to manifest, attract more of the good in life. To be more grateful, just
That is so
travel a bit.
powerful. Yeah.
That's definitely travel a bit to get a different perspectives.
Yep.
That's yeah, it's I went to, because I used to live in Texas. I really enjoyed the mountain view. I even visited Colorado for a little bit. I was talking with those people about how incredible your state is, the
Uh-huh.
mountains, etc. And they don't realize how lucky they are in a way.
Right.
It just I think put things in contrast or perspective. It's definitely would help to appreciate more about it. Everybody
That,
have something to be appreciative about,
that's so
regardless.
powerful because you're right. Those that feel entitled, they really lack gratitude. And they probably, like you said, they probably haven't traveled much to experience what it's like in other places to recognize how blessed they truly are.
That is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
What was it?
true.
It was JFK that said, "Tell me not what your country can do for you, but tell me what you can do for your country."
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And
Powerful words.
it need to be reminded over and over because we
Hmm.
kind of sometimes designed to forget. So
Hmm.
it's like if you need to reinstate or retake the vow, just remind it over and over about the blessings. That's a
Absolutely.
practice. It's a practice.
Well, absolutely. Well, I find it admirable that one, you're not only trying to do things the right way, try to go through the process the right way within the rules. Secondly, you're not only right even now, even though you're facing a crisis type situation, you're still thinking about how you could help others. And again, I think that just speaks to your heart and who you are as a person. Avery, I think you're the kind of person that the type of person we want in this country. And I would find it very sad if you were forced to leave. So again, if anybody knows anyone that could sponsor Avery or has some employment opportunity that might be a good fit, Avery, what would be, one more time, what would be a good fit for you? Somebody should consider, and how do they contact you?
Thank you, for the kind words. I definitely strive to live up to that. Um, yeah, so to just in high level, my 6 years of experience was in the solution architecting. So I take clients to identify their needs, to discover the gaps, craft solutions, software, technical solutions, then implementing them to better their business operation. I work really well cross functionally as the liaison, the point of contact with the product engineer teams, whatever it takes. And then the way to reach out to me, either my cell phone or email. So my cell is 254-299-7321. The email is averychi10@gmail.com. It spells out AVERYCHI10@gmail.com.
And your phone number one more time, Avery.
254-299-7321.
Avery, thank you for joining us today. Your story is amazing. I truly wish you the best, and I want to hope and pray for you that we get some good, or you get a good result, whether it comes from this show or anywhere else for that matter, and that you're able to stay and achieve your American dream. And I think this illustrates firsthand how unfair the current immigration system we have is right now, both legal and illegal immigration. The other thing I haven't even brought up, but I've brought this up at times, is by allowing so many people just to come across the border willy nilly, illegally, it reduces the number of good folks coming through the system that we can accept into this country. So it minimizes the good quality people that we would want here, that would be contributing to our society, that would make this one of the reasons America has become what it's become is because for so many decades, literally a couple hundred years, it's been the place where people wanted to come throughout the world to make a better life. And they worked hard towards that and they improved upon that. And that's why America has been the beacon of light or beacon of a hope or beacon of opportunity that it's become. If we allow so many people to come across that, again, may have nefarious or bad intentions, we don't know. That's the problem I have. We don't know many of these people just jumping across the border. It will be a detriment to our country, to our society, and it will reduce the number of good people, like I said, that can come and join us. I'm going to encourage you, as always, to stay tuned to the Your Personal Bank show. We'll be on again next week with some great information. I've got another amazing interview coming up with the founder of Truth in Accounting, talking about government spending and knowing what truly is going on, what the government is really spending, not what they tell us. So that's going to be an awesome interview. I'm going to encourage you to stay tuned to the next shows. If you want advice on how to minimize risk, maximize returns, minimize taxes, any of those kinds of things, thrive in this chaotic economic scenario we're in, please contact me. Yes, you'll get a hold of me at yourpersonalbank.com or 866-268-4422. Again, yourpersonalbank.com, 866-268-4422. I just want to finish up again, Avery. Thank you for joining us. You have an awesome story. Really wish you the best. So thank you
I
for
really,
doing it.
really appreciate it, yes, Frank, to have this platform and having me here to share my story.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for, I think you've added to our, hopefully you've added to our day. And as I like to finish off with every show that I ever do, as long as it's on our money, in God we trust.
Listen Tuesdays at noon and Saturdays at 1 to the Your Personal Bank Show for more information. Contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. That's 866-268-4422. This show is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information. The presenter and guests of this program do not engage in legal, accounting, or tax advice. Professional advice regarding your situation should be sought if required. Some products discussed may have limitations and not be available in all states. Excessive unpaid loans may affect performance. Distributions may become taxable if not managed properly. Replacements may not be suitable for everyone. There may be charges when replacing coverage. Dividend rates and bank line of credit rates may change. For current rates, contact Ference at 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com. Again, that's 866-268-4422 or yourpersonalbank.com.